On the day of my younger sister's wedding, the man who had assaulted her got out of prison and caused a ruckus at the wedding, which led to my sister calling off the engagement and falling into a state of despair. Half a month later, the man went missing, and his wife reported it to the police. The police traced the clues and suspected me. A neighbor testified that I had made 200 caddies of sausage. Unexpectedly, I just smiled and said a single sentence that stunned everyone present. On the day of my younger sister's wedding, the man who had violated her was released from prison. Someone actually wants this used goods of mine? Guys, she's just a second-hand item I've used. Fong Daji, the man who had ruined my whole family, caused a ruckus at the wedding banquet. My sister's fiancé's family was concerned about their reputation and firmly called off the engagement. My son is a top-notch university student. How can he hold his head up in the future? A fly won't bite an egg without a crack. Judging from the man's attitude, they might have had something going on. Gossip always targets the victim. But Fong Daji still didn't plan to let us go. Like a fly, he lingered downstairs in my house, shouting through a loudspeaker day and night. The used goods I've used lives right there. Are you waiting for me if you don't move out? Tan Minmin, don't be shy. A married couple for one day has 100 days worth of affection. Come out and have some fun. He harassed us relentlessly. Strangely enough, just a few days later, Fong Daji disappeared without a trace. 2. It was said that the last place where his phone signal appeared was near my house. In that alley where he had committed the crime. On a winter night 10 years ago, Minmin was dragged into the abyss right here. It was extremely cold that year. I hugged my sister and cried helplessly. My mother couldn't bear the shock and died of a cerebral infarction. On Minmin's 17th birthday, my sister and I became orphans without any preparation. In the middle of the night, Fong Daji was still shouting arrogantly downstairs. Tan Minmin, stop hiding. If you dared to accuse me back then, you have to pay the price. I hugged my sister tightly and covered her ears. She was ice cold all over, without a trace of warmth. Just like when I found her in the snow. Sis, tell me, what on earth did I do wrong? She looked up at me, with no sign of life in her eyes. I didn't understand. Why on earth? Why does a sense of shame become a weapon to torture the victim? My heart ached as if being stabbed by a knife. At 2 o'clock in the morning, Fong Daji might have been tired, and finally the outside world returned to tranquility. After washing up, I went upstairs to the second floor to rest. Half asleep and half awake, I suddenly heard a slight rustling sound from the wardrobe right across from my bed. It was like the sound of clothes rubbing against each other. At first, I thought it was a mouse. After all, this was an urban village with a poor surrounding environment and worse sanitation conditions than ordinary commercial housing. But the next second, by the dim light of the table lamp, I saw a tiny bit of a man's clothes caught in the gap of the wardrobe door. There was someone hiding in the wardrobe. 3. And I was peering at me through the gap. My heart was pounding like crazy, and I was trembling all over with fear. Fong Daji was wearing a mouse gray top today. I tried my best to control my trembling, pretended to turn over, and with the cover of the quilt. I felt for the phone beside my pillow. I sent a message to my sister at the fastest speed. Run! Fong Daji is here. I absolutely couldn't let him hurt Minmin again. The moment I sent it, the phone made a clear ding. In the quiet night, that prompt sound was so abrupt. All the blood in my body seemed to freeze. I hadn't put it on silent. It was too late. In the darkness, a pair of strong hands reached into the quilt. They grabbed my ankle tightly. 4. I was roughly dragged off the bed. Fong Daji was incredibly strong. He grinned wickedly and pinned me down. I struggled desperately, kicking my legs wildly and pushing and hitting with my elbows. It was all in vain. He grabbed my long hair, pulled it up, and then smashed my head hard on the floor. Bang! The back of my head ached terribly. My vision went black, and the nausea almost made me faint. The man's ugly face became a blur of countless images. I had thought countless times about what would have happened if I had been the one to deliver fruits to my aunt that day. Did Min go through all this back then? At this moment, footsteps sounded outside the door. Min asked sleepily. "Sis, what's wrong with you?" She didn't see the text message. I kicked my legs in vain, trembling like a fish on the chopping board, trying to create a signal. Fong Daji clamped his hand around my neck to stop me from making a sound for help. "Run away." I forced out a whisper with all my might, but no one could hear me. Tears blurred my vision. In despair, I heard a click. The doorknob slowly turned open. 5. Half a month after Fong Daji went missing, his wife reported me. My relatives in Tanjakan said that on the night my husband disappeared, this hussy chopped meat all night and poured out basins of blood. She must have killed my husband. No one paid any attention to her words. For a criminal who was good at drinking, whoring, and gambling, his disappearance was a welcome event. A few days later, when Team Leader Tang came to make a routine inquiry, I had already filled the bacon and sausages. My self-built house had 3 floors, and there was a pigsty in the backyard. The smell of blood after slaughtering the pig lingered in the air for a long time. In the front yard, the bamboo racks were full of the bacon and sausages being air-dried. The plump and firm meat, with a dark red color, hung from the poles. One by one, section by section, cluster by cluster. The dense meat emitted a rich fragrance. However, based on his years of criminal investigation experience, Team Leader Tang keenly caught a hint of something amiss. Aren't the sausages usually made before the Spring Festival? Why are you making them after the Spring Festival? 6. I calmly explained. I was busy preparing for my wedding before the Spring Festival and had no time to make them. Who would have thought that things would turn out that way and the wedding was called off? Now I have more time. What else can I do if I don't make these? An apologetic look appeared in Team Leader Tang's eyes. Sorry, I brought up your sad memories. Realizing things earlier isn't necessarily a bad thing. I always respected Team Leader Tang. After I reported the case back then, he happened to be on duty near Tanjakan. He was the first to arrive at the crime scene after receiving the notice. I would never forget the scene when he carried my younger sister onto the ambulance. Wang Ailian said that you bought a large amount of salt and white wine the day after her husband went missing. I need salt to cure the meat and white wine to remove the fishy smell. I smiled. The meat made by a meat grinder doesn't taste good and has no chewiness. I have to cut and chop it with a knife. It's inevitable that there will be a bit of noise. On what grounds does Wang Ailian accuse me? Disturbing the residents? Team Leader Tang, look around. Is there anyone to disturb here? I looked around. Many of the surrounding urban villages had been flattened by bulldozers. There were very few people living in the whole village. The reason why Fong Daji harassed us was not just for revenge. It was also about the demolition. 7. My family's house was located in the new district about to be developed. The real estate developers were eager to carry out the demolition. But their conditions were too excessive. Several families were tough-minded and refused to give in. Gradually, we became nail households. The real estate developer hired Fong Daji to teach us a lesson and ruin our reputations to force us to leave. Wang Ailian, his wife, her older brother is the right-hand man of the real estate developer. When my mother passed away and we were having her funeral, Wang Ailian led some people to smash the mourning hall and scolded me for seducing her man and getting him jailed. I hugged the urn tightly, curling up like a shrimp. No matter how they kicked and beat me, I didn't let go. Now, there were 20 or 30 households who refused to move out, and they had all suffered malicious retaliation from Fong Daji. The more bad things a person does, the more troubles they will encounter. Team leader Tang, Fong Daji was good at drinking, whoring, and gambling. It's normal for him to disappear for a few days. Wang Ailian is using this as an excuse to frame me. Please investigate thoroughly and clear my name. Officer Tang promised. He went to the pigsty and checked the kitchen. Just as he was about to leave, Granny Tan from the neighborhood came in angrily, holding a piece of cooked sausage. My heart skipped a beat. Xiao Tan, what on earth did you stuff in your sausages? It almost broke my grandson's tooth. Fine beads of cold sweat instantly broke out on my forehead. I instinctively looked at team leader Tang. Hidden inside the sausage in Granny Tan's hand was clearly half a tooth. 8. My thoughts drifted back to that night half a month ago. At the moment of nearing death, for some unknown reason, the revolving door stopped moving. My younger sister said calmly, "Sis, I'm sleepy. I'll go to sleep first." She turned around and left. There was no trace of emotion in her voice. Besides feeling relieved, I couldn't help but have a trace of doubt. Did she really not hear anything? As the sound of footsteps faded away, Fong Daji showed a smug smile. Just as he was about to pull at my top, the door opened without warning. My younger sister, who had quietly returned, smashed a vase hard at Fong Daji. While he was lying on the ground, my sister took the opportunity to strangle Fong Daji's neck with a pillowcase. All the pent-up emotions over the years erupted at this moment. Excessive force distorted her originally delicate and gentle face. Fong Daji was not tall but very stocky. At this critical moment of life and death, I held his hands and feet down tightly until his eyelids rolled up and he passed out completely. Min, what should we do? Right, call the police first. I was completely at a loss and wanted to make a call immediately. But my sister knocked my phone out of my hand. She was out of breath, with messy hair, but her eyes were bursting with a vitality she had never shown before. It was so strong, burning brightly, as if it could burn everything. Sis, we only have one chance. My head was buzzing. I asked what chance it was. The moon outside the window came out, and my sister's face was like the moonlight. Quiet and beautiful. I thought no one could refuse it. Sis, have you ever slaughtered a pig? 9. Of course, I have. Our father was a butcher before he died. So our pigsty was exceptionally large, and there were also complete tools in the cellar. Dad taught us before. Have you forgotten, sis? My sister stared at me without blinking. At that moment, I was standing at a crossroads in life. Should I be a pitiful, hopeless victim who was constantly harassed forever? Or should I be the hunter? After a brief moment of thought, I heard another voice in me say, "Remember, when slaughtering a pig, you have to boil water. The water temperature should preferably reach 80 degrees. We dragged Fong Daji to the basement together. The water started to boil. The steaming water vapor was just like the snow fog 10 years ago, densely covering that ugly face. This way, he looked even less like a human being. Instead, he was a docile brute. No, brutes are innocent, but he wasn't. Our father's pig slaughtering tools were lined up in a row. My sister calmly chose a bone-chopping knife. In the cold winter, my back was soaked in cold sweat. I wiped the sweat from my palms and also chose the sharpest one. Bind his limbs with ropes and then hang him upside down. Don't forget to gag his mouth. With the help of a pulley, we easily hung Fong Daji upside down halfway. Compared with this, it's more difficult to slaughter a pig. The subcutaneous fat is also thicker. It also requires more strength. At the moment of striking, we held hands, just like when cutting a cake. At that moment, the world was quiet. Fong Daji had already woken up. His eyes were bloodshot, but he couldn't make a sound with the towel in his mouth. He could only keep shaking, struggling helplessly. My sister laughed. Back then, I also struggled and begged for mercy like this. But did you spare me? The blood dripped into the basin that had been prepared in advance. It was so clean that it wouldn't spill everywhere. My sister showed a long-lost smile, and I also felt an unprecedented sense of satisfaction. After that, we worked day and night for 3 days. We made a full 300 caddies of sausage. 10. What kind of tooth is this? Officer Tang looked serious. He used his eyes to warn me not to move, then put on gloves and examined the tooth. A huge sense of panic seized my throat, making it almost impossible for me to breathe. After a few glances, he was speechless. He said, "Granny Tan, this is a pig tooth fragment." I was almost in a state of collapse and quickly apologized. We were short-handed and didn't do it carefully enough. Sorry. I myself was also in a panic. The first batch of sausages we made were long gone. My family is well known far and wide for our skill in making Chinese sausages. My mother's ancestral home is in Sichuan. She's a great cook, and the seasonings she mixes are simply unparalleled. But she has asthma and is too weak to do strenuous work. My sister and I grew up watching her cook and have inherited her excellent cooking skills. The meat has to be chopped by hand. The texture and chewiness of meat chopped by a real person with a knife are something a machine can't replicate. Mom used to say, the difference between ordinary food and delicious cuisine is that special essence. The essence of a real person's cooking. Stir-fry dried chili peppers over low heat. The rock sugar, ginger powder, and Chinese prickly ash powder come from the prickly ash trees in our backyard. Mix them well with a pot of meat and stuff the mixture into sausage casings. When you lift the lid, the aroma gushes out. I cut off a piece, and my sister gobbled it down. She let out a sigh of satisfaction. "Sis, it tastes just like Mom's cooking." The most ironic thing is that Fong Daji's wife came to make a scene once. When she saw the sausages, she greedily snatched a batch of them. We gave the rest to our neighbors and ate some ourselves. They were quickly devoured, not a single one left. 11. After seeing off Captain Tang, my sister seemed to be in better spirits. She was willing to go out to the yard to soak up the sun and resumed communicating. She turned a deaf ear to the gossiping of others and seemed not to care at all. She ate heartily and smiled at me. "Sis, it turns out that when you're in a bad mood, eating more meat can make you feel a lot better." I was relieved to see her so upbeat. As long as she was okay, I could be okay too. But soon, something strange happened. At first, I developed a lot of poisonous sores on my lips. They were swollen and painful, and late at night, I felt a dull ache in my stomach. It was as if Fong Daji was still around and hadn't disappeared. He was corroding my body. My sister stayed at home all day, reviewing for the adult college entrance examination in her room. Sis, I can't be decadent anymore. I'm going to take the college entrance examination again. Didn't Su Qingxiang look down on me for not being a graduate of a top-tier university? I'll prove that I can do it too. Su Qingxiang, her former fiancé, the man who almost became my brother-in-law. He said he didn't care about my sister's past, but his mother protested, and finally they broke up. I was distracted and knocked over a test paper. When I glanced at it, my breathing suddenly quickened. She hadn't even done a single question. Then what had she been writing so hard every day? The paper was filled with the names of different people. The strokes were so forceful that they almost went through the paper, full of hatred. At the top of the list was Fang Daji. Then came Su Qingxiang. But the last name made my blood run cold. My name appeared in the notebook. Tan Rue. 12. It turned out that my sister hated me. Well, that night, it was supposed to be me who went to deliver dumplings to her aunt. But I was too busy chatting on the phone with my boyfriend, so I asked her to go instead. Although she was reluctant, she still went out. I've fantasized countless times. If it had been me who went, would things have been different? Maybe Mom would still be alive, and my sister would be fine too. It's a pity that there are no ifs in life. Over the years, I've taken care of my sister wholeheartedly, even giving up my career without hesitation. I studied medical surgery. To have a future, I had to pursue a master's or a doctorate. But with my sister to take care of, after graduating from undergraduate studies, I went to a small private clinic. I could earn some money and take care of my sister nearby. Suddenly, I remembered an important thing. That night when we did it. We did it together, but my sister's hand was on top of mine. From beginning to end. The only fingerprints left on the knife were mine. 13. A bone-chilling coldness enveloped me. I went to the cellar and opened the toolbox. That night, my sister volunteered to clean up the scene. If she had put away the knife in advance, then I would be the only murderer. At dinner, my sister and I faced each other at the table. It was very quiet, and neither of us said a word. When the food was almost gone, my sister said, "Wang Ailian has been asking around and looking for surveillance footage." I knew that woman was stubborn and aggressive. Sooner or later, we would be found out. My sister put down her chopsticks and stared at me with her dark eyes. "Sis, I want to eat fresh Chinese sausages." A feeling of numbness shot up to my head. I couldn't tell for a moment what kind of meat she was referring to. It's not going to work out if this goes on. I summoned up my courage and said to her, "Minmin, use that knife to report me." 14. Actually, I had been prepared for this for a long time. The moment I made that decision, I had thought of all the consequences. After all, there is no perfect crime in the world. It's easy to dispose of the meat, but difficult to deal with the bones. My sister and I sat facing each other for a long time, as if we had reached some kind of agreement. I took out a bank card. "It's all my fault. You just focus on your exam. Don't worry about money. Your elder sister has prepared it for you. The password is your birthday." My younger sister opened her mouth, her eyes dark and unfathomable, but she soon lowered her head. At this time, I received a call from Captain Tang. I was summoned. Wang Ailian found a surveillance video. The night Fang Daji went missing, you went to the back mountain to throw out the garbage. My stomachache got worse. It felt like something foreign was about to burst out of my body. It takes 20 minutes to drive from your home to the back mountain. Xiao Tan, what on earth did you go there to throw away? 15. I stammered and said, I know where Fong Daji is. When Captain Tang rushed back to the police station, his forehead was covered with hot sweat, and his expression was so stunned. I raised my head woodenly. Fong Daji is inside my body. 16. I confessed to all the criminal facts without reservation. My younger sister doesn't know anything about this. Everyone in the neighborhood knows that she has depression. Especially after the wedding was called off, she has been staying in her room all year round. I recited the lines I had practiced countless times. Your sister? The policeman in charge of taking the statement repeated this word curiously. Afraid that they would notice something amiss, I clenched my hands tightly and nodded. My younger sister, Tan Minmin, she really doesn't know anything. The exam is approaching. Please don't disturb her. She used to be at the top of her class. It was that accident that made her drop out of school. Now that she has finally mustered the courage to study again, nothing can delay her exam. The air in the interrogation room seemed to freeze. Especially on Captain Tang's face, there was a kind of eerie expression that I couldn't describe and had never seen before. It was a mixture of shock, pity, heartache, and helplessness. He stared straight at me. He was extremely reluctant, but he said with difficulty, Tan Minmin, you don't have an elder sister at all. Your elder sister, Tan Ruerue, died in that rape case 10 years ago. 17. A strong sense of dizziness and nausea welled up in my head. What nonsense was he talking about? I'm Tan Ruerue. I'm the elder sister and the only support for my younger sister. My poor younger sister was the victim of the rape case. Fortunately, I've been here with her all these years. She can stay safely in her room and never go out. I'll experience the hardships for her. I'm the elder sister, Tan Ruerue. I insisted loudly. Captain Tang brought a mirror and forced me to look at myself. I was stunned on the spot. The girl in the mirror had extremely pale skin, long black hair that reached her shoulders, and her shoulders were trembling constantly. I suddenly jumped up and shrieked as I smashed the mirror. No, it's not you. You're not me. The broken mirror fragments reflected my terrified face. Tan Minmin, you have dissociative identity disorder. Captain Tang regretted, the last time I went to visit you, when I listened to the recording later, I found that the way you referred to yourself was a bit strange. He played the recording. Wang Ailian led some people to smash the morning hall and scolded me for seducing her husband. Here, eat you die. The cured meat we made this time is very delicious. Captain Tang, you can also take some. Here, eat used we. Captain Tang's eyes were deep and helpless. I was still wondering who we referred to. As far as I know, you're the only one living in this house. I knelt on the ground with a splitting headache, growling like a wild beast. The blood in my whole body froze and then thawed under the huge impact. My memory came back, and my blood began to rush. I remembered everything. 18. The surveillance video clearly recorded all these changes. The helpless and terrified girl completely changed in the blink of an eye. She raised her head and sat back down in a relaxed posture. Her eyes, tone, and even body language were completely different from before. You can call me Xiao Tan because I'm Tan Minmin. I was still sleepy after waking up. At the same time, I'm also Tan Ruerue. 19. Yes, I'm the younger sister. On that snowy night, I carried a thermos to send dumplings to my aunt. But how could my elder sister, who was always so hard-working, let me go alone? She was worried, hastily hung up the phone with her boyfriend, and chased after me. Tanruerue is such a kind and responsible person. After I was insulted and knocked unconscious by Fong Daji, in my blurry vision, I saw my sister appear. During the fierce fight with Fong Daji, she had an asthma attack. Yes, she inherited our mother's good cooking skills and frail body. Fong Daji fled, and my sister's asthma medicine fell to one side. She curled up helplessly in a ball. The snow was so thick that it seemed to cover her breathing. Her medicine was 7 or 8 meters away from me. The last thing I saw before I passed out was her stretching out her hand to reach for the medicine. It was a long time later that a passer-by called the police. It wasn't me that Captain Tang carried onto the ambulance. It was my elder sister who had been dead for a long time. That night, I lost everything completely. But Fong Daji was only sentenced to 10 years. I don't understand. He clearly destroyed my whole family. With my family gone, I became a complete orphan. In pain, I developed a split personality. When facing pain, it was always my elder sister who dealt with it. She helped me return the betrothal gifts and deal with the scolding and ridicule from my boyfriend's family. My elder sister was omnipotent. She indulged me, loved me, and would never betray me. Other police officers murmured, how could she, in such a frail state, deal with Fong Daji and turn him into sausages? Many people didn't eat the sausages she sent. We checked them immediately. They were pure pork. One Lilian also ate them and was so scared that she had her stomach pumped. No problems were detected in the bodies of those who ate them. I think she has a severe hallucination disorder and imagined everything. She should be sent to a mental hospital instead of the police station. But a piece of news changed everyone's faces. The bag that Tan Minmin threw in the back mountain was found. Everyone looked at each other in surprise. Inside, there were Fong Daji's bloodstains and clothes. It was that wrapped gray jacket I had seen in the crack of the cabinet. 20. I was also stunned when I heard this news. Could it be that there really was someone hiding in the cabinet that night and I really fought with them? I couldn't tell the difference between reality and illusion. My elder sister didn't come out, and I simply didn't know many things. Officer Tang grasped the key point. Don't you share your memories? Whoever uses the body has the memory of that period, but we trust each other and don't keep secrets. We write down what we do every day in a diary. I recalled painfully and explained carefully. My elder sister threw the bones away. She said she threw the remaining bones 6 times, in the back mountain, at the incineration plant on Ningde Road, in the river. But when Captain Tang searched according to the addresses in the diary, he found nothing. We've searched the places you mentioned, and there are no bones at all. Moreover, the last place where Fong Daji's phone signal disappeared was in the alley, not your home. I was completely confused. Was what my elder sister wrote in the diary fake? Then why did she lie to me? Where on earth did the missing Fong Daji go? If Fong Daji wasn't found, I would always be a suspect. Am I really a murderer? 21. This complicated and confusing case was widely reported by the media. People call it the sausage murder case. Because it was so shocking, it immediately caught the attention of netizens, and the heat remained high. I'll never be able to look at sausages the same way again. I think this woman is just stupid. Why didn't she move out? How ridiculous. Why isn't it the perpetrator who should leave? What did the victim do wrong that she had to leave the home where she grew up? Does moving not cost money? Will you pay for it? When can the personal protection order be truly implemented? Mental harm is also harm. Her mental illness was caused by intimidation and stimulation. Fong Daji got what he deserved and is not worthy of sympathy. I became an object of observation for the police and doctors. Cameras recorded my daily life, every word I said, and every expression on my face. Because of my status as a mental patient, if the police couldn't find any more evidence, I would be acquitted. The invited psychiatrist observed me for several days. Finally, he put forward a bold possibility. There is more than one personality in her. 22. Her behavior patterns seem to be those of two people. The elder sister loves reading and cooking and has relatively strong social skills. It was mostly her who went out to work. The younger sister doesn't like going out and has a strong obsession with the college entrance examination. She reads books and does exercises every day. But at home, we found a lot of alcohol she had drunk and empty wine bottles. The elder sister has asthma and pays attention to health preservation. She never drinks a drop of alcohol, and the younger sister doesn't have the habit of drinking either. So who drank these wines? Team leader Tang remembered something. The alcohol content in her body was also over the standard on the day she came to turn herself in. I never drink alcohol. I don't touch a drop. I scoffed at their speculation. I only perceive the elder sister. Don't I know myself best? The doctor gently explained. That silent personality may not even have been noticed by your elder sister. It only appears at the most critical moment to protect you. If you could split into an elder sister personality, why couldn't you split into others? The doctor crossed his fingers with a gentle look on his face. Your father was a butcher. A butcher who was addicted to alcohol, fierce, and taciturn. 23. These words made my hair stand on end. This explains why you only remember bleeding the body, and the specific details of dismemberment later were all done by your father. He was an experienced butcher. It was him who dismembered and disposed of the body. We found Fong Daji's footprints on the windowsill of the second floor of your house. It's reasonable to suspect that he did sneak into your house that night to bully you and was killed by you in the fight. Then your father's personality emerged and dismembered Fong Daji. The address in the diary was not written by your elder sister, but by your father to mislead everyone. I remembered that strange sense of nausea. My body was heavy, and my stomach felt like it was on fire. It wasn't just a psychological effect. It turned out that it was brought on by alcohol. Dad was good at his craft. Cutting meat under his knife could even become an art. His only flaw was that he was addicted to alcohol. I had thought countless times that if Dad were still alive, Fong Daji would never have dared to be so arrogant. This speculation excited the media even more. Did the dead father avenge his daughter? Father's love is priceless. It's so touching. If it's confirmed that it was done by the father's personality, can Tan Minmin get a reduced sentence? They can hardly convict her without finding the body. What reduced sentence? But how can you be sure that what Tan Minmin said is true? Hey, if she was lying, she wouldn't have come to turn herself in the first place. With the media fanning the flames, my case, the Tanjakan demolition case, and the matter of the real estate company hiring hooligans to harass and threaten the villagers of Tanjakan were all exposed. Maybe the public opinion was too intense. One day, an unexpected person came to the mental hospital. My ex-boyfriend, Su Qingxiang. 24. Su Qingxiang looked much haggard. When our eyes met, he suddenly burst into tears. Min, you'll be okay. I sold my house to help you fight the lawsuit. He said a lot of words full of regret. I shouldn't have listened to my mother. I let you bear everything alone. Maybe if I had cared more about you, you wouldn't have ended up like this. Watching him pour out his heart in tears, I suddenly said, "How can you be sure that I'm Minmin and not her elder sister?" Su Qingxiang's stunned look made me smile. I couldn't help but recall my school days. When I returned to school, I became an outcast. On the surface, my classmates seemed normal, but they always stole glances at me, as if I were a rare monster. Once in a physical education class, the teacher was teaching everyone self-protection methods when someone suddenly shouted strangely, "Let Tan Minmin share her feelings. No one knows better than her." The booing crashed over me like a tsunami. Everyone was sizing me up with a secret and curious look. They were curious about everything that had happened to me and the cruel details of the crime. They were curious about everything about the victim. This made me realize that the physical humiliation was only temporary. The mental torture had no end. It was in such a difficult situation that he showed up. 25. Su Qingxiang had confessed his love to me before. But I was focused on my studies and ignored him. However, he often stood up for me when others made fun of me. Later, when I was working as an odd jobber in a small clinic to earn money, he came to pick me up regularly. Before our engagement, I asked him, "Have you told your mother about me?" His parents worked for the government and cared a great deal about their reputation. Su Qingxiang hesitated for a while and evaded the question vaguely, "Let's talk about it later." Who would talk about such things? It's not something good. Yes, it wasn't something good. So I understood his family's choice. I don't blame you. Your parents' considerations are right. I understand them. This time, Su Qingxiang made up his mind. He visited me despite his mother's pressure. He even showed me the proof of selling his house. After several such visits, I showed a satisfied smile. "Xiao Su, you're still a good boy." In a hoarse voice, with an elder's tone. Su Qingxiang, who was originally peeling an apple, accidentally cut his finger and his lips trembled. Who on earth are you?" 26. Who am I? I picked up the knife, took the apple again, and peeled it smoothly from start to finish. I'm the father of Rue and Minmin. I ran my fingers over the blade and sized him up with a scrutinizing look. Su Qingxiang was seeing a case of split personality for the first time and was at a loss. I waved my hand and asked him to sit down. This was a conversation between two men. I didn't show up before because I wanted to test you. After all, you were silent at the wedding. I was very disappointed. I can't rest assured to hand my daughter over to you like this. Su Qingxiang stood there like a log. What about Fong Daji? Is he really dead? I said, probably not. If he's still alive, he hesitated, why didn't you tell the police earlier? Fong Daji did a lot of dirty work for the real estate company and almost got killed. There's also a traitor involved. I can't tell them. The news will leak out. I showed a meaningful smile. Go and find him to clear my daughter's name. 27. While the whole city was searching for Fong Daji's body, a photo of Fong Daji sneaking out was sent to Team Leader Tang's phone. Looking at the date, everyone was dumbfounded. It was from yesterday? This man whom everyone thought was dead was actually still alive? Just when Team Leader Tang arrived at the suburban cottage where Fong Daji was hiding, he was murdered. Fong Daji died of poisoning, and this cottage was deep in the mountains. I'm afraid no one would find him until he rotted to the bone. The investigation went smoothly, and the murderer was a big surprise. It was Su Qingxiang. He worked at a chemical laboratory in a research institute, and the poison used on Fong Daji came from his laboratory. He was very careful. If the police hadn't arrived in time, he really could have left no evidence. Su Qingxiang stubbornly refused to disclose his motive for killing. Team leader Tang kept pressing on one point. If Tan Minmin told you the address, why didn't you tell the police? Finally, he mumbled that it was for me. I wanted to avenge Minmin with my own hands, so I killed the scumbag. 28. In the media reports, Su Qingxiang became an affectionate and impulsive good man. The lawyer thought that his premeditated murder deserved at least 17 years in prison. Netizens pitied him. Although he broke up with Minmin under his mother's pressure, he was still willing to sell his house to help Tan Minmin fight the lawsuit. That's not bad. Right, Fong Daji deserved to die. But that's not a reason for him to kill. No matter what the reason is, the commission of a crime cannot be refuted. After I cleared my suspicion, I went to see Su Qingxiang in the detention center accompanied by a reporter. He was wearing a wrinkled prison uniform. I didn't care at all. Instead, I hugged him tightly. The camera circled around us 360 degrees. The whole nation witnessed our love story. I said affectionately, "Don't worry. I'll take good care of your aunt." The camera loyally recorded my vow. Su Qingxiang stared at me intently. His smile was worse than crying, and his face was so distorted that it was hardly human. When I was leaving, I hugged him tightly. "Let me tell you a secret," I said in a voice only he could hear. "Do you know why Fong Daji could find our wedding banquet so quickly on our wedding day?" A smile curled up on my lips. Because I gave him the address. 29. On the night Fong Daji disappeared, I even met him voluntarily. He threatened me for 1 million yuan. "Give me the money, and I'll withdraw and stop harassing you. I know there's going to be a demolition here. 1 million yuan isn't a big deal." I was calm as still water towards this brute who had hurt me. I said I didn't have 1 million yuan. "But don't worry. We can make a deal." Fong Daji grinned slyly. "Really? With me?" At the negotiation table, there are only opponents, no enemies. I could choose to kill him or use him. I said calmly. "I know you're so eager for money because you got involved in something while helping Boss Wong force the demolition of the residence. You're afraid of being silenced, so you need money to escape. But as you can see, the demolition of Tanjiakan is progressing slowly. By the time I get the demolition compensation, you'll probably be in prison again." Caught by what I said, Fong Daji looked really annoyed. "My boyfriend, Su Qingxiang, has 2 houses in the eastern suburbs. Cooperate with my plan, and I'll help you get 1 million yuan." He looked strange. "Will your boyfriend be willing to give me the money?" "He won't be willing for me, but for you, definitely." Under the moonlight, I smiled, in the company of the devil. "Don't you have a lot of his weaknesses?" 30. There was a look of shock in his eyes, but he soon understood. "Tell me what I need to do," he said. "Make a big fuss. The bigger, the better, and make it known to everyone. Only in this way can you get more money." My voice was extremely cold. "First of all, you need to disappear." 31. I used to think that Su Qingxiang was my salvation. After we got together, I tried my best to win the approval of his mother. But his family still had a lot of dissatisfaction with me. Once I heard his mother whispering to the neighbor, "Don't be fooled by her simple appearance. In fact, she's really good at spending my son's money." She's a spendthrift. But I've never asked Su Qingxiang for money. We managed our daily expenses separately. By chance, I saw the information of Su Qingxiang's money transfer and the name of the remitter. It made me shiver all over. Fong Daji. Why did he transfer money to a criminal? What was the relationship between them? I investigated the records and found that Su Qingxiang had been transferring money to Fong Daji's account since college. I also found a threatening letter from Fong Daji in his room. Only then did I know the truth of the rape case back then. It turned out that Su Qingxiang wanted to pursue me back then, but I ignored him. His young master's temper flared up. At the instigation of others, he hired hooligans to scare me, hoping to play the hero saving the beauty. No wonder I've always been confused about why Fong Daji took a taxi all the way from a restaurant in the east of the city to Tanjiakan. It turned out that he was hired. But it snowed so heavily that day. Su Qingxiang was stopped by his mother before going out, so he didn't go out. Fong Daji got drunk and there was no one to stop him. He turned the fake show into a real crime. A tiny evil thought of Su Qingxiang changed everyone's fate. To be precise, it changed the fate of my family. 32. I told Fong Daji everything he was supposed to do. Follow my plan, and you'll get the money you want. Don't leave the cottage unless necessary, and don't even tell your wife. The happiest person when Fong Daji disappeared was Su Qingxiang. He finally got rid of the life of being threatened. But soon he couldn't smile anymore. One day when everyone thought Fong Daji had died at my hands, he received a threatening letter. This time, it contained the recording of him hiring Fong Daji back then. He sold the house not for my lawsuit at all. Otherwise, why did he come on that particular day after I'd been in the mental hospital for so long? It was only because he'd received the threatening letter. Fong Daji threatened him with 2 million yuan, not a single cent less. Otherwise, he'd expose the truth of that year. 33. To be or not to be, it's an eternal question. He could tell the police the clues, but then Fong Daji would be alive. What he'd done in the past would also be exposed. If Fong Daji was dead, there'd be no problem. Anyway, the public all thought Fong Daji had died at the hands of a madman long ago. I remembered what the teacher said in Senior 3. Please value every choice you make. Any question among them might determine your future fate. Now, classmate Su Qingxiang, how are you going to answer this question? 34. As I expected. He went to see Fong Daji alone. He majored in biology and could use environmental factors to speed up the decay of the corpse. After a long time, this messy account could be put on my head again. He didn't expect that as soon as he took action, the police received the information and rushed over. Even if he was arrested, he wouldn't tell the truth. If he did, he'd add to his crimes. If he didn't, at least he'd be a good man in the eyes of the public, and there might even be a chance of a reduced sentence. He was such a sophisticated and self-serving man. 35. Tanjiakan was finally demolished at a reasonable price. Everyone got some money, and Grandma Tan's grandson successfully went abroad for surgery. Oh, his leg that was blown off by the firecrackers Fong Daji threw into the yard. Thanks to Grandma Tan keeping an eye on the monitor during the days when I was away. Once Su Qingxiang appeared, she'd call the police immediately. I donated half of the demolition money to a fund to help girls who had the same experience as me. After my condition was confirmed to be stable, I left the mental hospital. On the first day of school, Team Leader Tang came to see me off. Seeing me dressed like a college student, a complex look appeared on his face. Tan Minmin, after a long silence, he finally decided to speak. You actually don't have split personality at all. 36. I tilted my head and asked why he said so. You said that personalities don't communicate with each other and your memories aren't shared. But I found something strange in the doctor's daily records. He opened that thick record. On the afternoon of July 22nd, at that time your personality was your elder sister Tanruerue. When the interrogation ended, I got a call. There was an urgent matter at the bureau. I told you that I'd be 2 hours late the next day. On July 23rd, it was your younger self Tan Minmin. At the appointed time, she didn't say anything and even told the medical staff that she'd be 2 hours late. His look became clearer. I'm sure only your elder sister knew this news. If you needed to record to inform each other, your elder sister didn't leave a reminder note that day. This proves that the condition of non-shared memories is false. 37. Ah, so it was at this time. I showed a trace of annoyance. I still wasn't careful enough when doing things. Sure enough, fakes always have flaws. He even found the information about the courses I'd taken a few years ago. You've been learning how to change your voice in the past few years. Playing different roles requires day after day practice. Fortunately, my elder sister and my father are the people I'm most familiar with. At the school gate, there were full of cars sending students. The parents' faces were beaming with happy smiles, and so were the students. There were many freshmen who were about to enter the campus, set sail from here, and then head towards the next stage of their lives. I looked at all this yearningly. Captain Tang, but your speculation can't serve as evidence. The man closed his eyes and said, yes. The one who killed someone is Su Qingxiang. It's always been him from beginning to end. I'm very sorry, but this is the truth, isn't it? I took the initiative to hold his hand. His hand was both cold and hot, and covered in sweat. I knew that he was standing at a crossroads in his life, making a choice. I waved as a farewell. Wish me a happy start of school. After saying that, without looking back, I strode into the campus.